Niin, ja morjesta voi. Aloitan tätäkin tämmöisestä kohtaa nyt suoraan, kun huomasin, että tää ei ollut tätä chapteria tallentanut, että mä nyt pelattaa 3 uudelleen. Tähän me jäätiin nyt viimeksi. Kuolin tossa yhden kerran, tässä hirviössä yhden kerran. Ja jatketaan nyt tästä. Tästä testistä taitaa olla vähän lyhkäisempi, ehkä puoli tuntia, kun käydään paikassa. Okei, tähän sit jäätiin. Ja täällä tulee kassamörkö, niin katsotaan mitä pystyy kuuntelemaan niistä. Siis ei ihan vielä tuossa spawnaa tässä jossain vaiheessa, tässä jos pitää pysyä piilossa ja piirustuksia. Mä oon huomannut, että se on kaide opas, mistä löytyy ne piirustukset, en mä oon missannut meistä aika paljon nyt. Tarkoitus ei olekaan varsinaisesti niitä etsiä, vaan ne, jotka tulee nyt eteen.
It was also a lot of fun to work on the hair for a monster in the forest areas of the game. So we wanted her to be like a woman who had drowned a long time ago in the forest, and she had kind of merged with the environment, so she had roots going up her feet and they're like intertwined with her flesh. It's pretty disgusting. And she also has these huge bloated hands, but at the same time she's skinny and emancipated because she's dead. So we also wanted her hair to flow as if underwater. Which was a challenge because we initially it's something that we ended up postponing for a while because we didn't really know how to attack it. But we ended up doing it with a vertex shader, using simple sine waves to make the hair move, and then vertex painting to influence what moved when and how much. And in the end, it's a more static effect than we wanted. We wanted it to be like physical, so when she moves to one side, the hair will kind of stay still in the air and then just follow her as it gets dragged along. But as the areas in the game where you see her, they're pretty much always dark, and we also have image effects on top of everything when you look at her. So even though the effect is static and moves with her, it looks convincing enough, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out in the end. It was pretty cheap performance-wise as well.
Ärsyttävää väliä, kun näytät tekee tästä helppoista voittoa.
When I think back to when I sat there sculpting her toenails, maybe that wasn't necessary. As yeah, it's dark, and if you see her toenails, you're probably already dead. So most people don't get to see them. But I think it's still... We didn't know beforehand that we would present the monsters in the way that we did. So making them as detailed as we could, within limits of course. We didn't go all out because we knew that you wouldn't be up close for much of the time. So still, yeah, having that kind of detail there really... It was a lot more flexible afterwards when we decided to make it the way we did.
Okei, se ei onneksi ollut niin pitkä. Oh.
So making the characters was a lot of fun. Getting to design them and see them walk around and scare people in Let's Play videos and stuff. It's very, very fun. And always when people post a screenshot of a monster and say that this is the scariest thing ever, and you feel like, yeah, we did it. And it's very cool to see the effect they can have on people in
Ei ne myrrätä silleen niin pelottavia, mutta se on lähinnä, että tietää, että täällä on joku se karmi. Ei se, että se on pelottava näköinen. Se näkyy. Ei jos silleen ne ei oo pelottavia, mutta se tietoisuus, että joku sua jahtaa, niin se ei oo hauska. Se itse ajatus on jo pelottava. Ei niinkään se visuaalisuus on sekin, mutta se, että se tunne on se juttu enemmän. No, jotkut on kyllä sarannut tämän paikkaan ongelma. Miten se pitäis kyllä olla? Se on ihan ok, että kuolee ehkä tässä yhden kerran. Vaikka mulle toi ei oo ongelma, ainakaan mä en usko. Ei se ainakaan ennen ollut. Nyt mä en tiedä missä siksi mä hän toden, mutta pelkäsinkin tämmöisissä paikoissa mun hermot ei välttämättä kestä näitä. Hirviöitä ja silleen, niin saattaa että node tulee missä tuo. Mä taisin tiedä missä se on. Eiku tossaks se on se node, haha. No.
This actually is kind of the most skill-based places because you have to really, like, you gotta be ready to hide very quickly. She is around all the times, and if you're not quick, like, she will catch you. So it's actually one of the more hard places where I think a lot of people have died.
No. Sori, mä kiroilen tälleen. On huonoa mallia, mutta hermostuttaa vähän. Kiva kun ei taas yhtään tiedä, että minne päin. Se on niin pitkä aika, kun mä oon tätä pelannut. Mä en tarkkaan muistanut kaikkia paikkoja. Aha. Mitäs nyt varsinaisesti silleen voi eksy? Ehkä mennä on täällä vielä.
This area, the library, also went through a lot of iteration, but it was always designed with the purpose of being a sort of a big room with a lot of places to hide, where you were trying to avoid the monster. But in one of the later iterations, we added the river that just cuts the whole room in two, which I think is was the right thing to do here, because it just makes the big room a lot smaller in terms of where you can actually go, and so you get so much closer onto the monster, which makes it more tense, and of course a lot harder as well.
Okei, mutta tässä varmaan pääset tuonne toiselle puolelle. En tiedä, kuinka toi hirveet kuulla tän liikkumista. Onko se semmonen systeemi? Päästäänkö tästä ylös? Joo. Ei se suostu mennä tosta. Täällä jossain piti olla se pieni räppänä siellä makuuhuoneessa. Oliko se täällä? Okei. Jaa, tosta pääsi tän toiselle puolelle, niin selvä. Ai täällä, täkkiä. Tuolla täällä ei ottavasti tässä edessä. No, siirrä se. Oi, kiitos. Se tulee. Nyt toi on ahistava. Mä tiedä, onks koskaan mulla tossa käynyt. No, nyt mä olin liian hidas. Hitto, se olisi pitänyt vaan mennä eteenpäin. Se oli varmaan niinku sekunnista kiinni. Se olisi tosi ärsyttävä, kun tolleen käy. Okei, tässä näkyy, että tää koko paikka on uusiksi. Hitto, se oli eikä siinä. Ja onks toi spawnattu silleen, että onks aina se takana vai voinut puurilla? Tää yrittää mennä niin nopeasti kuin mahdollista. toivon oikeesti tää ei niinku osaa teleporttaa tää hirvi, että tää vaan varppailee täällä. Tai siis käyskentelee. Viimeksi olin, kun meni siitä avaimesta tai siitä aidassa siellä aikaisemmassa metsässä tai paikassa, niin se tukijuttu ymmärrästä ollenkaan, niin oli jo valmiiksi siirretty, niin mä toivon, että se tuoli kanssa ja kortti alhaalla menisi siinä. Mä en taas keskittynyt yhtään. Okei, tätä se kaveri vissiin meinas. Nyt on vaikeeta. Ei tää nyt ennen ole näin vaikeeta. Tietenkin heti kun mä luen jostain, että on vaikeeta, niin sit mulle tulee vaikeeta. Tää puoli helpompi sitten jotenkin, kun tunnaan tuohon seinään jostain syystä jatkuvasti. Mä en kyllä ennen tajunnut, että tässä on 2 siltaa. On vissiin aina mennyt tuonne vasempaan puolta. Joo, tää on helpompi. Tää meni nopeasti. Toivottavasti olisi ne esteet, jos on raivattu. Tässä on paljon helpompaa sitten. No ainakin toi tuoli on valmiiksi käännetty. Nyt mä varmaan pääsen. Mä en kuule se ääntä. No niin, eiköhän tää nyt on. No. Vittu. Miksei se painaa? Ei. No niin. Miksei se menee? Se ei kohdallaan vieläkään. Musta tuntuu, että se ei enää tuu tänne. Ehkä. Onko se tuoli vielä tiellä vai miksi ei toimi tosta noin? No niin. Täällä on just eikä melkein ollut. Oliko ärsyttävää, mutta kyllä siitä selvittiin. Ehkä nyt saadaan 3. memory.
It's your book. Listen.
They had not dug far before it started to rain. Quickly, climb out, or there'll be trouble again. See, the little bunny is climbing out of the hole.
Selvä. Meillä on 3 memorya. Okei, tässä ei ollut niin paljon näitä puheenjuttuja. Johtuikin varmaan tää kentän loppupuoli. No niin. Into the pre-buy. Varmaan toi 3. taso, toi Forest on ehkä pelottavin. Otan tästä 4. chapteriskin kanssa hirviöitä. Tää on sitten viimeinen chapteri, tää on lyhyt peli. Ja sit on se prologu. Siinä prologuissa vissiin ei oo noita kommentaattoreita, en oo varma. Ainakin joku on niin sanonut, että siinä ei oo.
I'm so glad we made it back.
Kohtaan se nähdään.
I feared something would happen to us.
Tai siis kohta siis jossain vaiheessa se nähdään. Okei, tää paikka on vähän muuttunut.
It's really cute that Teddy actually walks around here, and you can still pick him up
I've
if you
never
want.
seen anything like it.
That's probably the cutest
Child
animation we have
shouldn't
when
have
the kid picks up Teddy and just kind of pets him a bit, and it really adds to sort of me feeling happy and fond to Teddy.
Tää on vissiin viimeinen kerta, kun ollaan tässä paikassa. Eikö kyllä tänne tullaan vielä yhden kerran, kun on se 4. muistoja, niin se olikin.
Again, we see the theme of pipes and the like brass-colored pipes and all this, which was a part of the Teddy's machinery,
all
which we
the time.
mentioned earlier. And we kept it in the game, because the story was changed, and there was iterations to the story so late in the development that this was already implemented, and we just couldn't have found the time to make it any different.
But it still works out, you know. That's good. When we changed the story, we also realized that most of the game was actually kind of supporting that story anyway. So that was kind of a really like one of the reasons why we changed. We recognized that this wasn't a huge difference in what we have to produce and change.
Niin. Jotain ne halus säätää, mutta en tiedä. No niin.
The dialogue in these hub levels is also made with the purpose of making Teddy realize how serious and dangerous the situation is for the child, but to still put on a brave face and be the voice saying that when we get out, we can play together and everything will be fun, and just giving both the child and the player hope. And also he keeps mentioning the mother, and that she must be so worried and all that. And this is all to keep reminding the player that you are searching for the mother, and this is the end goal. And yes, so to reinforce the whole mother concept.
Teddy's role here is to kind of be explanatory. He just kind of tells you what you have experienced, and with a sort of interpretation of it.
Se oli ihan lyhyt.
Really nicely, the way that Teddy climbs up there is so cool.
Sekin oli lyhyt, no niin. Nyt päästään 4. chapteriin. En tiedä, eikö mä sen pelata vielä. Katsotaan nyt. Ei saa myöhästyä siitä tapaamisesta, kuitenkaan on tärkeää. No. Joo. Pyöritetään. Musta tää pyörityssysteemi on vieläkin vähän houkuttava.
Good. Another one down.
One more to go.
We're getting very close to her. I can feel it. Oh, she must be so worried about you. Are you okay? I guess we have no other choice. Should we see where it takes us next?
Joo.
I'm ready when you are.
Niin, mulla on tärstävä nuha edelleen. Kestää sun pitkään parantua, niin totta close up. En oo varma, eikö mä tätä pelaa loppuun. Katsotaan vähän matkaa. Pitäis olla jonkun puolen. Pitäis kyllä aika pikkuhiljaa kohta lähteä. Tässä nyt hetken aikaa vielä. Varmaan kun joudun vähän toistaa tätä, kun tää ei ilmeisesti tallentella tasojen keskellä. Mikään ja perses mun mielestä. Viimeinen taso.
This level is named Into the Closet, and this was one of the early concepts we had for a level, because since we have the theme of a child, and since you play a child in the game, we have the theme of children, and so we looked at things that we were afraid of when we were young, and some common themes. And closet doors was one that we started looking at early, and we imagined, I think it started out as just a room covered in closet doors, but then it ended up being a whole level with only hallways and rooms covered in closet doors, and then being in some of the closets and traversing them.
Yeah, so I really like the variety that we managed to get into the game. Like every level is kind of a contained space in terms of art assets and stuff. So we like here, for instance, this whole level is like inside a big closet with closet doors everywhere, and also kind of strange gravitational laws of physics, where stuff just sticks to the ceiling, and it's really, we wanted it to be very confusing and feel much bigger than it actually is, and it was also an environment that stood out from the other ones, as they all do in certain ways.
This chapter also works well as the visuals resembles a broken home or just a chaotic home, which works well with the theme.
Tonne ei vissiin pääse tosta ainakaan. Joo, eli tää vissiin aluksi pitänyt olla kokonaan closet. Tai tämmönen kaappipaikka, mut sit tuli jostain syystä. Joo. Pitäisikään mä tarkalleen muista joka metriä, mutta... Mielestäni tänne. Pallopomppi jossain. Niin piti se silta muodostaa. Se oli vissiin täältä kai. Tässä mä muistan tämän paikan eri tavalla. No. Niin.
So we had a lot of trouble optimizing this level. Everything is constructed in one big scene in Unity. And it has a lot of closet doors everywhere, and actually it has a lot less doors than we actually wanted to have. We wanted there to be hallways leading everywhere and doors going in one place, and you exit in a completely different place on the other side. Really confusing, but still it was supposed to feel very big, so we made it actually big, and we got to pay for that, as the frame rate was very hard to keep down. So as this level is rather big and confusing by design, we needed kind of a red thread for the player to follow through the level, and this endless drawer, as we call it, works in that fashion, as well as being a bridge that you have to extend in order to reach the deeper parts of the level. So it works both as a guide for the player, but also a blocker and a gate that we can use to limit the player's progression.
Tell us about this drawer. Was it fun?
Well, it's a really long drawer. It's called the endless drawer internally here, and it's about 200 meters long, I think. And you need to move it, open it, and it needs to collide properly with the geometry, the physics engine isn't really designed to properly handle 200-meter long drawers. So there's been a lot of interesting problems with that, like it getting stuck in various things and exploding basically sometimes.
Yeah, I think it also was like, I remember once that sometimes you just started jumping when you went on the drawer. Sometimes the drawer was just kind of jiggling about.
Yeah, it would sometimes just get stuck in geometry and basically kind of continuously explode for a while, and it would just shake a lot. And walking on it was horrible because the player would shake and sometimes you'd fall off, and it's horrible.
Okei, siis saattaa olla tommosia ongelmia kai.
Yeah, there's 3 specific events happening when you actually break bottles, and it gets more and more kind of tense, scary, and the more presence of a monster each time you break glasses. And that's kind of also to show people that glasses are dangerous, and also to reinforce the idea about the monster and the bottles, and kind of make people think about the association between those two.
The endless drawer, we call it, is also a thing we wanted to do because we think that it fits the theme of something realistic but still being very unrealistic, so it fits the theme of the child's imagination. A drawer that just stretches into, like, it seems like it never stops, it goes on forever.
Oho, tähän on lisännyt valaistuksen näköä, tätä ei ollut aikaisemmin. Tää achievement mulla on tää. Muistaakseni tää peli on todella lähellä loppua. Mä en nyt... Ei täällä ehkä aika ihan riittää, mutta katsotaan nyt. Tämä on hirviö taas. Onks tää nyt tää kohta, kun ei saa osua noihin esteisiin tai hirviö tulee? Mä muistan tässä kaikki eri tavalla.
Well, first, I would like us to have populated the small closets everywhere. Now, almost none of the doors are openable, but our vision was to have most of them openable, and inside you would find something that was sort of unique. But of course, it was kind of crazy to begin with, so we didn't.
Ei. Muistaakseni tässä kyllä tuli joku pikkumaailma sen 4 memorikin jälkeen taisi olla, mutta se ei sinne tai sinne leikkitaloon mennyt enää 5. kertaa kyllä. Sinne joutuu vielä yhden kerran menemään memorin takia. Niin,
Twist the globe for a while, it actually started playing a little bit of a melody.
What? Tai tää vai? Enpä sellaista ennen huomannut. Sä nyt jos sitä vääntää, niin se soittaa pienen melodian. Niinku mitä? En mä tiedä. Niin, että piti sanoa, että tää 4. maailmankin jälkeen tuli musta joku minitaso vielä. Se taisi olla jo. Joo, mä en just siis osaa soittaa tuota palloa, mutta ihan sama. Joku viisaampi voi sen tehdä. Jollakin tavallaan niin vaatekaapin sisältää niin kuin peli alussa.
This room, I do like it. And as you can see, this is very reminiscent of the room in the intro part of the level. You have the same type of floor with markings on it, and you also have codes everywhere. And this is where code becomes a theme for this level, which is also because of how the monster is designed. That is just a big code. We wanted the player to go through it and then trigger the codes to suddenly move, to make it feel as if there was something in the room with the player. And this is one of the points of the game where the physics solution does not work out perfectly. At least not the way we move the codes. We add force at the codes so that they move, and all of these codes have bones and stuff, right? So all of the codes are rigged and have bones, and we add force to them, but it just does not look like we wanted them to. We really wanted it to look like something was actually moving through the codes, but yeah, so it didn't work out quite as well as I'd hoped.
We wanted to connect the breaking of bottles to scary atmosphere, and you shouldn't want to break the bottles because then you spawn the monster. So this is where we show that this happens for the first time.
Unohdin ton. Joo.
One thing that I think is quite special about the game is how we have kind of resolved the entire game and how events play out through physics. Well, at least most of it. So where it would probably have been easier just animating stuff and have a predictive behavior, we instead work with physics for the entire game and how the player moves, from how the player moves to how apples roll to how doors open. There are some animations, of course, but there's a lot of... The game is built a lot on top of physics.
This is the game's hub room in a way, like the same as the painting area in the level 3. This is sort of where your main objective can be seen. Like there's a star door, which is quite beautiful, and you kind of see a texture reminiscent of the memory fields from previous levels.
Ja tässä kentässä ei ole näköjään varsinaisesti hirviöitä, vaan siinä minikentässä tuli vielä viimeiset piiloskelut.
So you immediately know what to do and how to get to the imagination object inside of the room, because you just came through the moon key door that we call it. You have just been introduced to how this door works, so you know that as soon as you see the star key door and the imagination field behind it, you know that there's the imagination field and there's a door blocking me and I need a star shape of some kind.
So when the player drops back into this room, I think for a while it was a bit confusing with the whole backtracking, and it's not quite backtracking. The player goes in, blah blah blah.
Joo.
So when you return here, you have gone in a loop. You've gone back a different way than the one you came. So you end up in a place that it was before, but it's not that easy to recognize as somewhere you have been. But as soon as we got these big glowing doors in, it was instantly recognizable.
Joo. No, tässä oli taas tuollainen siltajuttu. Ehkä. Onko täällä sama silta vai?
So this drawer is another thing that didn't really work well with a physics-based solution. It used to be driven by the physics system, so it actually didn't stop unless something physically blocked it. But since it moved so fast, it would go straight through the object before detecting that it was there and cause a lot of trouble and making the level unplayable for a lot of players. And it actually was like that for a couple of days after initial release. So we spent some time and remade it completely using much more controllable animations. Looks just the same, but it's a lot more stable.
Joo, jotenkin tänään noiden animoittien fysiikkiekalla ongelmia tullut pois. Ja toskin oli julkaisupäivänä, että se oli bugina. Se ei toiminut oikein. Ja siitäkin jouduttiin tuo keinumisfysiikka poistamaan, että se on vähän ikävää, että on niin paljon teknisiä ongelmia tämän pelin kanssa. Et ne on joutunut poistelemaan niitä. Tietenkin niin, että ei päivitä tätä peliä, niin voi painia se ongelmakaan edelleen, mutta ei siinä ole mitään järkeä. Joo. Okei, seuraava. Ode. No. No.
The drawer also works as a red thread throughout the whole chapter, as it's very unorganized and chaotic layout-wise. You're still always following the drawer.
Joo, tähti pitäisi olla lähellä. No, ehkä mä pelaan tän kentän vielä, mutta sitä miniskenaariaa mä en tee tällä kertaa. No. Miksi se menee? Okei, mä en taas kohdalla. Se on niin tarkka. Joo.
one ID where you looked into a closet and you looked down on yourself from an earlier part of the level, like a time portal through a closet. I liked that idea, but it was hard to implement. It was just a fun idea, it didn't really add to the story, but something I would have liked to see.
Isn't the remnants of that actually where we are now? Like you kind of go and you get teleported up in the air?
Yes.
So that was the space right here that we actually were supposed to see that. Right?
Yes.
Right here we have one of the rooms that is sort of, I think, one of the coolest rooms that no one really probably noticed, because it has so many cool small tricks to it. Like you can go into this little side door and you would actually get on top and look all the way down. And later when you get back, the whole room will have rotated, and not too many people noticed that. Actually, I sure didn't until someone told me the first time I tried it. I think we also had an idea here that you would see yourself if you go to the secret kind of exit, and you would look down and see yourself, but that was kind of a bit tricky, I guess.
This was also actually a game mechanic for a puzzle that was used in an earlier iteration of the level, where you come into the room, and if you look up, you can see that you are in a long hallway. And there's a very long way to the top, and then you would go through this door, and then you would end up at the very top, and you would have to push like a box down, and so that this box could be used down on the first floor and in order to reach something. But this didn't survive the iterations. Probably because it's a really weird, not intuitive mechanic, and this stuff is hard to introduce.
Tottakai mä en oo varma, onko sitä ennen tullut. Se oli kyllä pitkä puhe taas kertaalle. Tästä oli toi Paranormal Activity Effect, kaikki kaapit räjähti auki. Okei. No, nyt mä pääsen tonne.
Like we spent so much time iterating this puzzle, which is sort of like it started out as a perspective puzzle. Now it's not quite that, I guess, or
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, this room started out with a perspective-based puzzle that had the player had to get into position in order to see the objects from a specific angle, and then pick up a bottle that was actually way too big, but it looked the right size from the right angle. And it was a really, really tough idea to convey to the player. So we ended up having to take it out, and we replaced it with a copy of the kitchen from the first level in order to tie these levels better together. And it worked okay in the end, though the perspective room, if we had managed to design it in a way that everyone could understand, or at least to be possible to figure out, I think that would have been a more unique solution to it.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard defeat for us, because the idea is super cool, and this is one of the things that we really learned, that this is another example of how a design on paper is just 150% different when you get it in to the actual game, and because you'll just see how players that does not have the same top-down understanding of the game as yourself, the creators. So it started off as with one of the coolest ideas, and then you just we just realized during the production that this was too hard and we really couldn't make it work. We tried really hard for a long time. The room had several iterations, but then we just ended up scrapping it. But the cool thing about it is I think that could work as the core of a whole game though, but that's how it would have to have been introduced, I think, or much earlier in the level, and then it would have just turned out as the perspective level instead of anything else, so it just wasn't worth it in the end.
The most frustrating thing about the whole perspective idea was that when every single tester who understood what we were doing when we told them what they should do thought it was really cool, but I don't think anyone figured it out on their own because we didn't present it correctly.
Vähän missannut näitä, koska mulla alkaa aika loppumaan. Ja mä en tiedä, miksi me tätä tässä on pelaa enää loppuun, pitäisi olla jo liikkeelle. Ihan just pitää lopettaa.
Yes, so upon opening this door, you topple another bottle, and then as you naturally turn left while walking in through the door, you see the monster. And so this is the second time the monster actually appears physically as a reaction of the bottle breaking, and this is also where the monster is able to catch you for the first time. After this first event, when you break the bottle upon entering, you have to be careful, because if you break more, then the monster will physically come and chase you.
Ai niin, eikö se oli vai? Mä en taaskaan muista kunnolla, mitä tässä piti tehdä jo. Mä luulen, että pätkäsen lopetan tähän, koska mä alkaa aika loppu kesken ja sillä, että jatketaan ensi kerralla. Morjens. Ja tääkin taas on ehkä mitään uusiksi, mutta joo, moi pelata.